Hey, what's up, everyone? Real quick, just for a couple minutes, I want to talk about the next gun I bought after, or excuse me, the next gun I carried after the M&P Shield 9mm, or would kind of rotate out a lot with that M&P Shield 9mm. It's this Glock 19 Gen 3 in front of us right now. Um, I wanted a different nightstand gun other than that Ruger SR 1911, and that's why I got this. I purchased this right as the Gen 5 Glocks were coming out, and this was at a big box store, and they had I think this was like 350. They were just trying to get them out of the cases or get them sold, so I just went ahead and grabbed it because I had shot Glocks before. I had already kind of purchased another M&P before I'd gotten this and shot some other striker fired weapons that I had decided I liked better than Glock. But I always shot Glocks fine defensively. In terms of just real tiny bullseye shooting, I shoot my M&Ps a little bit better. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Glock. I'm not knocking it. But there were a few things that, obviously, you can see I thought were out of the box that I felt left something to be desired. So I changed some things. But yeah, this gun, I purchased it, like I said, just as a nightstand gun. But then I was like, well, I want to, in case I ever want to carry it, I want something smaller too, because I was going to get just a Glock 17 in the store that day. But the last second, I was like, just let me have that Glock 19 over there. And they're like, all right, we did the background and filled out my paperwork, and I went home with it. And like I said, I wanted to retire the SR 1911 from nightstand duty because it only had 8 rounds of 45. I'll safe check this real quick. Empty mag, empty chamber. This has 15 rounds of 9mm. Obviously, I don't think it's surprising that I carried this too, because this is a very popular gun. It's probably like the Honda Civic or Toyota Corolla of guns, as far as just guns that you can use as duty or conceal carry. Again, I'm not the biggest Glock fan or anything like that. I don't dislike them. I just happen to like my shield better, and I think it's not my shield, my M&Ps better, and I think it's because of this angle down here. For whatever reason, that hump just wants to push back right there on my hand, and you can't change the back strap on this Gen 3. But it does feel good in the hand. I don't want it to feel or I don't want it to come off like I don't think it feels good in the hand. Just for whatever reason, I've always shot M&Ps better. And also, too, I'd had a buddy that had a P99 that I'd shot years and years ago, and I liked it better. And I also shot a Walther PPQ before I even owned this, and I'd shot primarily Glocks in 40 and 9mm, like 23s and model 22s and 26s, and I'd shot a 19 before. Yeah, sorry, I had to go back my old memory there, but it was a 19 that had work done to it. So, because I remember really enjoying that day, and it was a long time ago. But I got this just because, like I said, for $350. And I know too, the Gen 3s have these finger grooves, which they've now gotten rid of on the Gen 5s, I believe. They're not a deal breaker for me, but I have a buddy he just doesn't like finger grooves, and I don't blame him. I could take them or leave them, kind of thing. I just make it work, if that makes sense. It really doesn't affect my grip or anything like that. But again, for me, I think the fall down for a Glock is just that hump back there in the back. I don't know why. For whatever reason, I just shoot stuff like PPQs and M&Ps better, and even the new Walther PDP better. But sorry, I mean, I get the appeal for Glocks. They're very streamlined, very minimalist. But yeah, real quick, the work I've had done too. And I didn't change any of the springs or anything like that. I just put an Apex trigger in there, so it didn't change the pull or anything like that. In fact, real quick, I'll let you hear the reset. And the reason I changed it was because it wasn't that the trigger was bad out of the box. Glocks tend to just have a very staple gun feel to me out of the box. At least this one. But I changed it because I actually did not like the texture of the trigger. I know that sounds kind of goofy, but just whatever little lines they had in it, I didn't care for it. It never hurt or anything like that. It was just, I just didn't like the way the pad of my finger rested on that kind of texturing. It just was not a good texture. I didn't know why they even did it. And I know they moved away from it since, and I think for good reason. But yeah, I didn't change anything as far as the springs in there, so it's the same trigger pull as if it were stock. I put a set of Mariglow sights on it. These do have like tritium at nighttime, but they're fiber optic during the daytime too. I'll see if I can get them on camera here. There's the front one, and then there's the rears, and there's the front one. The reason I changed those is it came with the stock like Glock front white dot and like the little U notch white in the back, which I didn't have a problem with them, but everything else I had was either 3 dot or blacked rear, or that I'd ever shot was either blacked rear or 3 dot, which even 3 dot's not my favorite. I kind of like, I've always been a fan of the dot the eye or the lollipop sights. Like, you'll see them on a lot of older SIGs, like some of the West German SIG made P226s and stuff. They'll have them, but I upgraded those sights just because I figured why not. And this kind of was meant to be a project Glock. Like, I was gonna maybe inevitably turn it to a Gucci Glock, but I just never got around to it. And the back plate there, I had that made. I think that's titanium, and I chose the color and like the little American flag there. It was made by a company called Millspin, and I think they're out of Texas. And the reason I did that is I was cleaning this after having it in the range, and I'd putting the slide back together, and I was just working on over a cheap like desk I'd bought at Walmart, and I dropped my slide, and this piece is plastic on the back here. When you get it, or the stock piece, it dented it, and it didn't mess with the function of the weapon or anything like that. And it just made it a dent, and this was purely just a cosmetic thing, because I was like, well, maybe I'll just make it a little bit my own, because the great thing about Glocks is there's so much aftermarket, which most guns, there's plenty of aftermarket nowadays anyway, period. But yeah, this is the only Glock I have. I don't think it'll necessarily be my last Glock or anything like that, because I have been kind of curious about like some of the Glock 34s and some of the Gen 5 17s. I shot a 19X a while back, and I liked it all right, but I didn't feel like I shot it better than my M&Ps or anything like that. But yeah, as far as just a $350 gun that I threw a little bit of money into, as far as the sights and the backplate and the trigger there, it has not been a bad gun whatsoever. And I kind of, some days I would just carry this too, because like I said, it was intended to be a nightstand gun, but I remember thinking, just in case I want to carry it, I'll get something kind of smaller, and I got this 19, and if I wasn't carrying that M&P Shield, I was carrying this for a number of years too. So I think for like 5 years, or a little less actually, like 4 years. If it wasn't that M&P Shield, this was carried. And those two were kind of my rotated everyday carries there for a number of years. But I just want to talk about this gun for just a second. And again, appreciate anyone watching, and everyone be safe.